Hey, what's up everybody, and welcome to another episode of News Dose, where I give you all of the latest news in the game industry. And I hope everybody had a good weekend. It was a pretty busy few days in terms of game news, especially for the next generation consoles and all the speculation and rumors going on with the Xbox Series X and the PlayStation 5, but we also have a new report that went up today talking about a Nintendo Switch revision releasing in mid-2020. Could it possibly be the heavily rumored Nintendo Switch Pro? This is very exciting to hear about, so we're going to discuss that as well as the Xbox Series X, PlayStation 5 backwards compatibility, and more, so you're not going to want to miss that. But let's first talk about Nintendo, and yes, we do have multiple things on Nintendo today. Of course, the big one is the rumor Nintendo Switch Pro may actually be a thing, and reportedly will be arriving mid-2020. This comes from DigiTimes, and they did say that this device will enter full production in the first quarter of the year. I do want to note that DigiTimes isn't always 100% accurate though, so I do want you to take this with a grain of salt, but this isn't the first rumor that has popped up about a possible Nintendo Switch Pro. Now, this may not actually be a Nintendo Switch Pro per se, but Nintendo at the very least is reportedly working on a revision of the Nintendo Switch. Last year we got the Nintendo Switch Lite and a newer optimized Nintendo Switch with better battery life, but other than that, there really wasn't that much that changed with the Nintendo Switch. The thing is, it was heavily rumored last year that Nintendo was working on a Switch Pro, but it just never really ended up happening, and ultimately people thought the rumored Switch Pro was just the Switch with better battery life. Well, now the Switch Pro rumors are back, and we even got some small details on what will be included, such as a magnesium alloy body rather than plastic, which is a very interesting choice. Maybe a little bit more of a premium feeling device. It's also supposedly going to have a better CPU, and that is the exciting part, or at least in my opinion, because that is pointing at a more powerful machine. Now granted, I do believe that the Switch revision last year also did have a little bit better of a CPU, so that's not 100% guarantee either. With that said, I do think it would make sense for Nintendo to release a more powerful Nintendo Switch. The Nintendo Switch is a fantastic console that has seen a lot of success, and I don't think anybody can really deny that. But if they can improve it and extend its life, I think that they should, especially with Xbox Series X and the PlayStation 5 releasing in 2020. If Nintendo has any weak points at all, it's getting big AAA third-party games to release games on the Nintendo Switch, and it will only get harder once Xbox Series X and the PlayStation 5 releases. This is mainly because the power gap between these consoles. Even then, we have seen more of these big AAA games released on the Switch as of the last few months, including games such as Alien Isolation and even The Witcher 3, which still blows my mind that it can actually be played on the Switch. I mean, I don't think I've ever would have imagined that The Witcher 3 would play on a mobile console, let alone a Nintendo mobile console, so that's just absolutely amazing. And I think there is a real market for these type of games. What the Nintendo Switch really has going for it is its portable form factor, and people will play these games on the Switch because of this reason, rather than just picking up the prettiest version. So theoretically, if a Pro model were to come out and could play more of these big AAA releases on the Switch, I think Nintendo should do it. The truth is, the Nintendo Switch doesn't need to be as powerful as the PlayStation 5 or Xbox, but the extra power could help Nintendo get more ports, and I think that that is a good thing for Nintendo fans. I also think Nintendo games could benefit from it as well, and maybe the next, let's say, Zelda Breath of the Wild game would look, that game would look amazing on such a device. I will say this though, what I would really like to see Nintendo do is add Bluetooth audio. If they're going to make any small revision, that's the one I would pick. I would love to be able to connect a Bluetooth headset to this thing without buying a Bluetooth adapter. Now, as to how much of a power increase could we expect from a Switch Pro? According to a business analyst, and we actually talked about this last week, but he believes that the Switch Pro will be 4K and have bigger cartridges set at $399, but time will tell if he ends up being right or wrong. I would love to see a Switch Pro myself, but I would like to know, would you be interested in a Switch Pro if they ended up making it? And if you already have a Switch, would you be willing to upgrade it? Let me know in the comments below. There was also some other Nintendo news as well, because according to insider Emily Rogers, which does have a pretty good track record for Nintendo leaks, is claiming that Nintendo will be releasing 2 remastered Wii U games for the Nintendo Switch in 2020. As to what those 2 games will be, she didn't say, but did note that because Nintendo has already done several Wii U ports, that it shouldn't be too hard to guess. I think a few possible games it could end up being is maybe Star Fox Zero, you have Pikmin 3, I think Paper Mario Color Splash, I think that was for the Wii U, or maybe even Xenoblade X. Nintendo is already bringing over Xenoblade Chronicles, so I wouldn't really be too surprised if they brought X over as well. But let me know what Wii U games you would like to see come to the Nintendo Switch. Personally, I would take any of the games I mentioned. I think that they're all pretty good games. While the Wii U wasn't the best console ever, it did have some really good games for it. In other news, Square Enix has been very confidently talking about cloud gaming and how it will be able to achieve things that consoles just cannot do. They even went so far as to say they strive to work on games that is only possible in the cloud. They are developing games for the cloud right now as well, though for what services they did not say. Square did, however, say that cloud gaming will not only increase subscription services, but help expand the gaming user base into several countries. And I think some gamers will probably be a little bit apprehensive over some of this information. There really is only 3 cloud-based services right now, and one of them is still in beta. Of course, you have Google Stadia, which has been released to a lot of negative criticism, and some people believe Google just kind of rushed that out to the market to beat Microsoft to the punch. On the other side of things, you do have Microsoft xCloud, which actually does have positive reception, and then you also have PlayStation Now, that's been out for a few years now, which soon will also be using xCloud. Could Square Enix use one of these cloud-based services to release these games? I think that is very likely. They could bring out their own service. That's possible too. You can't really just rule that out just yet, but yes, Square Enix seems very confident in a cloud-based future. For me, I think it can be a nice option, but I definitely like my dedicated hardware. Luckily, we can live in a world where both is an option. Moving on though, the PlayStation 5 made its way back into the news yet again, but this time we got to hear something other than just about its specs, because Hip Hop Gamer is claiming that the PlayStation 5 will have full backwards compatibility dating all the way back to the original PlayStation 1. In other words, the PlayStation 5 would be capable of playing PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2, PlayStation 3, and PlayStation 4 games. But that's not all, because he also is claiming that they will have enhanced features. This sounds very similar to what Xbox has been doing this generation, and can only be viewed as a positive if this is actually true. The thing is, this of course should be taken with a grain of salt like all of the previous rumors. I usually wouldn't even talk about this type of thing on the channel, but this is not the first time we have heard claims about PlayStation 5 having backwards compatibility. A lot of the time where there is smoke, there is fire, so I thought I would at least bring it up. Granted, there is no 100% guarantee until we hear it straight from Sony themselves. I think for me, I can definitely see them at least getting PlayStation 4 games, but I think PlayStation 3 will be the hardest due to it using the cell. Hopefully it does happen, but we'll see. Let's just cross our fingers. Now the last thing I want to talk about is the Xbox Series X, because 2 things happened with the Power Tower today. The first of which was Phil Spencer did change his Twitter profile picture to the Xbox Series X chip, which led to rampant speculation that they would be showing it at CES 2020, and they did to a small extent. We'll talk about that here in just a moment, but here is the new Series X chip, and the first thing that stands out is it very obviously says 8K on it. Though we have kind of known this for a while now, where the Series X would at least support 8K, but based off what we do know is it will be targeting 4K 60 frames per second. This is a pretty large looking chip though, and people are already speculating on all the power this thing has and how many transistors it has. To this point, I don't think anybody knows just yet, but I will keep you posted on that if any concrete information comes out. But yes, Xbox Series X was at AMD CES to a small extent. They didn't really talk about it, but they did show a short little video that revealed its rear side. So now we know that there is 2 HDMI ports, you have 2 USB-C ports, and an SPDIF port for audio. Nothing really too bizarre there, though I would have liked to seen a display port personally. It would have been nice to plug it into certain monitors with a display port, but nonetheless there is also a single USB port on the front of the console as well. Like I said, nothing really too crazy, but we did get a little extra something out of CES today. Anyways though, that's it for this episode, but let me know what you think in the comments below, and don't forget to hit the bell notification and subscribe button. Peace out.